Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass. Live in living color here with you on Grande's Graveyard. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope everybody's having a wonderful week thus far. I've been pretty busy work-wise. Like, my job this week has been a goddamn nightmare when it comes to problem after problem after problem. And I'm just like, I'm mentally just shot right now. It's been a long IF tomorrow, right? Am I right? And also a long weekend for me. I'm off Monday, thanks for the 4th of July being Sunday. So should be a nice weekend. I got a couple parties I got invited to, so hoping to have some fun there. I'm also going to be sleeping all day Monday, just enjoying that day off. That's going to be absolutely beautiful. Long weekend this weekend. Hope everybody else is doing well, and I'm looking forward to all that. We got a fun show tonight. We're going to be talking all things VHS. Yes, the VHS trilogy that it's not even 10 years old. Isn't that crazy? The first one came out in 2012. This is not even 10 years old, this trilogy, but it also at the same time feels like it happened so long ago to me. Like it just doesn't. It's weird. Like I watched these movies probably right at the beginning of my high school years, and here I am years and years later after I've graduated college, and I was like, you know what? I want to go back to this well. I want to talk about these movies. It's been too damn long since I went back, sat down, and gave them all a look, and I was like, you know what? What better topic for the show than to discuss these movies? And tonight I got a boring drink tonight. I'm sorry, everybody. It's nothing too special or anything, but I'm drinking a little agua tonight. Nestle Pure Life to be specific, if you will. So cheers to everybody. Cheers to a long weekend. Oh man, that's some good stuff. Yeah, no, I know, boring without no soda. I know I probably lose viewership for that. But I don't know. I was like, I wasn't feeling soda tonight. I was just like, you know what? Old school, ice cold bottle of water. That sounds nice to me. But without further ado, I guess there's a couple of things I can announce before I get into the main topic at hand. And there's two things, two plugs, two videos that are coming up, not just tomorrow, but the next day. So, first of all, tomorrow, Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, head over to King Negor's channel. Corey, he is going to be dropping the debut episode of Summer Slashing. Yes, Summertime Slashing. Me and Corey have collaborated on these awesome little slasher movie reviews. I haven't seen it yet. I've actually made a plan with him to, after I go live here, once this show wraps, he and I are going to watch it privately together on StreamYard, not live, so nobody will be able to catch the sneak peek. He did post a little sneak peek video, so you guys can check that out on his channel if you'd like. But we'll also be watching that together, and then the official episode will drop on his channel tomorrow. So you can totally go check that out. And then I also will be announcing HorrorTuber winner of the month of June. So I'll be announcing the winner. I don't think we'll do that tomorrow. That will probably be a video I drop Thursday. I'll schedule it as a premiere. I'll probably record it tomorrow, but I'll probably drop that on Thursday. I feel like that's a nice day for, especially the day before the 4th of July. Like, and it's apparently going to be shitty weather by me. So I figure there'd be no more perfect day to drop who the winner of that's going to be. So that's kind of what we have planned the next couple of days. And next week, I'm hoping to have the Elm Street Warrior return to the graveyard, and we wanted to talk all things Stuart Gordon. So that is the plan as of right now. Of course, if anything changes, I can always let you all know. But Summertime Slashing tomorrow. Do not miss it, 6 p.m. Eastern time. And I'll give it a plug at the end of the episode. But okay, without further ado, we can jump right in to the meat and potatoes of the evening. Yes, VHS. This came out in 2012, and little did I think this would be a trilogy when I first saw it. And I remember this was one that I caught and heard a lot of buzz about when I was actually in school. This was one people were like, you've got to check out this movie. This is a really, really well done horror film. And I was like, damn, like what is this? I haven't heard any hype. I haven't heard any promotion. I haven't heard much buzz. But it was one of those things I heard about through word of mouth. So one night I sat down. I was like, well, what the hell is this on? This was back in the days when I had Netflix, and it was on Netflix. That's really where I believe it premiered. It probably premiered in select theaters and also on video on demand, but this was on Netflix, and it was a really, really highly viewed movie. And I can pretty much understand why. And I can get a little bit into the whole concept of these movies. So basically, and it's fun. I make fun of this guy a lot. I can't. I don't want to be too mean. I won't get into why I make fun of him. But Brad Miska is the guy that came up with the concept for this, and the concept for the VHS movie, the first one at least, and the sequels would follow in suit, would be to gather an anthology story, but not just any kind of anthology stories. They wanted to do shot on video horror anthology stories. And instead of how in Creepshow fame, it's the kid going through the comic book reading these horror stories. Instead, it's these people that are hired to rob this tape from this house from a third party, unknown third party. They go and break into this house and they kind of pop in these tapes one after another. And that's what transitions us from story to story. And what I think was the most brilliant thing about this concept was to get new up and coming filmmakers to make their own short horror films using the shot on video format. And I think that was a really cool idea. And it was a good way for filmmakers to get away from, okay, let's reboot this. Okay, let's rip off that. This was kind of a new way for them to go, okay, so I can be creative with this. Number one, I can do new innovative creative stories. I'm always for that, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. I appreciate the effort to try something new. I think it's just something that we need more of, especially even almost 10 years later. That's something what we need. And also the other was how we were going to film it. How are we going to film these things? Like, okay, we're going to do shot on a camcorder. We could do that. But we also have stories in these movies that one of them is they have this camera in the middle of this guy's glasses. There's one story that's on a webcam. There's one story that is completely in the perspective of a guy who had this eye surgery and there's a camera in his left eye. And the entire thing is from his point of view. So I think what was really cool is how they played with that concept. Now, does it defeat its own rules at times? Sure. How in the bluest of blue hells did you get a goddamn webcam video to appear on a VHS tape? I have no unearthly idea how that would work. I really don't. Maybe there are ways, maybe I'm ignorant and I'm completely wrong, but I do not think there's a way you could get a goddamn webcam video on and transport it to format of VHS tape. I don't think that's possible, but I could be wrong. Again, there's a couple of these where I'm just like, how did that get on a VHS tape? Again, like the camera and the thing, like how did this, whatever, it's one of those things where I kind of shook my head. I was like, I thought these were all going to be like taking place back in the day, maybe, and telling stories that take place in the late 80s, early 90s, Blair Witch style, right? Like we rented a fucking camera from a Circuit City. But you don't get that with this at all. You really don't. You get these all of these, they try to do new and innovative things with the camera angles and then just use the VHS title as more of a gimmick than let's make sense out of this thing. And I while it defeats its own purpose in some ways, I don't think that really gets in the way of some of these stories being entertaining. And I think some of them really are truly scary. And that's a huge plus for me because we can get into these stories. We'll go right into them. Of course, the first film we have, the first story is called, basically the format I'm going to go into each story. I want to go into each director of each story and talk about what they've done before, maybe what they've done after this. And we could talk a little bit about how these movies kind of gave them a little bit of a launch pad, because at the end of the day, that was a really nice idea about this. These were mostly, and I say mostly, not everybody was, completely unestablished, but most of these guys were unestablished workers in the horror business. And through this movie, they used the launch pad of these movies to kind of propel themselves into bigger and better things, and some of them onto nothing, unfortunately. But we can kind of look at this, go through each one here. The first story of the first film, it's called Amateur Night. And I've got to say right off the bat, this is arguably the scariest one out of all of these. This absolutely terrified me. It's directed by David Bruckner, who before this had made movies like The Signal, and after it he made what's the goddamn movie he made after that? He made I can get his filmography up here, easy peasy. what was the film he made after The Ritual? That was a big hit on Netflix, and that a lot of people really enjoyed that. And he's also making a film called The Night House that's going to get released sometime this year, and I've heard nothing but good things about that coming out of the film festival, stuff like that. So David Bruckner's a guy that I think is pretty promising, and I hope that he keeps turning out more stuff. He hasn't made too much, but at the same time, judging from this story, I definitely would like to see more from him. It basically tells the story of these three guys that are trying to get lucky, right? They go to the bar and they're trying to find some ladies that they can have sex with. They're getting drunk and all that, typical nonsense. There's one girl they encounter, and she's kind of off. She's quiet, and the only thing she says to the lead character is, "I like you." She keeps saying that, "I like you, I like you." And they just kind of take it for granted. They're like, all right, this bitch is a little quiet. She's a little, shy, but it is what it is. We'll take her back. We'll have a good time. So they take a couple girls back to their little motel. They're about to all get laid. And one of the girls passes out. And they're like, oh, shit, this girl passed out. And the other guy, he's so horny. He's like, damn, like, I'm sorry, man. I'm about to steal your girl. And he starts making out with this girl that they found in the club. And I'm sitting here watching this. I remember I didn't know what was coming. I had an idea what was coming. It wasn't like the most unpredictable thing in the world, but I think it was with the brutality of what I was about to see is what I wasn't prepared for. So he starts having sex with her, and all of a sudden, this lady turns into this fucking demonic demon succubus thing. And she has these giant fangs. Her head kind of splits down the middle and opens up. And there's little jagged edges where you would probably have teeth come in. Horrifying, absolutely horrifying stuff. I mean, the visual of it is a truly terrifying image. And I think that David Bruckner really, I don't know if he's the one that came up with the exact design of this, but man, is it memorable. It's a very memorable look for the antagonist of this segment, and she fucking mutilates them. There's one guy where she's on top of him and she's slashing him, gutting him all at the same time while he was having sex with her. And I mean, just completely fucks him up. She bites one of them. The guy has a giant bite mark on his hand. Really scary shit. And like, there's one point where they hide in the bathroom, like, shit, man, what the fuck are we going to do? And he's like, they're going to kill our friend. We got to go out there and do something about it. The one friend goes out there, tries to do something about it. She just cleans house, kills his ass, easy peasy. Where the other friend makes a run for it, or lead with the camera in between his glasses. He makes a run for it. He's running down the steps, slips, falls, breaks his wrist. And she, of course, emerges. And she kind of gets in his face. Again, this time with the monstrous look. I like you. Very, very unsettling, man. Very scary stuff. And my skin crawled when I first saw this scene. I was just like, Jesus Christ, this is absolutely terrifying. This is horror done right. This number one, do you have a classic, run-of-the-mill setup? Absolutely. It's a very nothing setup. It's these three friends that want to get laid. That's really the setup. But to kind of make them the prey and her the predator, and the fact that this nice guy who is the one that she liked, I like you, he's kind of the one that's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm he's hurt, and he's not turned on by her when she tries to come on to him when she's in her monster form. And then, of course, he makes a run for it because she's crying, she's upset, he doesn't accept her, and she fucking just all of a sudden flies off with him as we see his glasses fall off, hit the ground, and that's one story. I mean, really good stuff, and it's a great way to start a film, I think. Like, I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, damn, like, that's how you fucking start off a movie. Like, we are off to the races after this. And I just thought David Bruckner really showed that even though this was brutal and even though this was gory, bloody, whatever, I think he proved that he could make anything feel scary. This is a very terrifying segment. And like, I recommend anybody to watch this, but I promise you, this will probably scare the shit out of you as it did me. It's just a really well done, effective little horror short story. And I honestly love it. I think this is a really good one. And I hope David Bruckner keeps doing more things because he showed a lot of promise in this. And I remember when I first watched this movie, I was like, man, that one sticks in my brain. Like, was it a little bit predictable? Maybe. Was it a little bit you could see stuff coming. Yes, but at the end of the day, I thought it was actually really well executed for what it was trying to do. It scared me and entertained me, and it was a good way to kind of get off the ground and get me into the concept of this movie. And then, of course, we're brought on to our next tape, and that is called Second Honeymoon. And that one's directed by one Ty West. And how I was saying before, where some of these guys were established pretty much after this helped establish careers or helped end them in some ways, some cases. Ty West was pretty decently known before this. See, he had made films like The Roost, which I'm not a fan of. He had made films like Cabin Fever 2, which I know is not his fault. I know he wanted it to be full-on body horror, John Waters tribute type of film. Like, he really wanted that for that particular film. He wanted to kind of pay tribute to body horror while actually being very tongue-in-cheek and over the top, like John Waters films of the 70s, kind of gross out type of body horror film. And unfortunately, Lionsgate just didn't understand that that's what he wanted to go for, because they're Lionsgate and they wanted another Saw-like movie. And they basically, if you watch that movie, Cabin Fever 2, it's a piece of shit, don't get me wrong. But if you watch it about 50 minutes in, it becomes somebody else's movie. Like, you can totally tell they just completely cut that guy's version and image and dream or whatever he envisioned that movie to be. They cut it to shreds and they kind of mangled his movie. It's a shame. Now, do I think it would have been the greatest movie in the world still? No, I really don't. I'm not the biggest Ty West fan. And I can give a perfect example why. Was his film he made right after this was House of the Devil, which I know a lot of people that love House of the Devil. They will tell you it is one of the best horror films of the 2000s, of the post-2000s. They will tell you that's up there with one of the best, being one of the best. I do think that Ty West is good at building tension, and I think that's the thing he is good at. I think he's good at the build. He's good at the climb, the proverbial climb. Where I think Ty West fails most of the time is payoff. I don't think the guy is that great with paying off his stories, his films, and his direction style, because there are a lot of horror films that will be slow burn. And while we enjoy the climb, we enjoy the journey, it usually leads us to a great finale where we're like, wow, and I was creeped out the whole time. And then when they dropped that bomb on me, I mean, I was a fan from there on out. That's what I mean when I'm talking more of a great filmmaker. Like, it's well-rounded. You can get me there, but if what you lead me to is lackluster, it can kind of make me want more. And it also, I think, hurts the product, because at one point you're kind of just like, he had something going here. This was not something that like was just completely bad. This is something that could have been great. And that's kind of what I get from Ty West. And again, his story in this film, Second Honeymoon, we can get into it here. It's very similar to House of the Devil in that theme of what I'm saying, where the build is good and the payoff is kind of blah. You have this honeymooning couple, and one of them was played by Joe Swanberg, who actually directed one of these segments, which is actually weird. And he's actually gone on to direct quite a few films, Joe Swanberg. So it's this couple, they're on vacation, and they're pretty boring couple. I mean, it's nothing really very entertaining. I mean, here they are pumping gas, and here they are walking and talking about if the husband can pull off fucking cowboy boots. Like, very dull couple. Nothing really to run home about. But one night they kind of get this knock on the door, and it's this weird woman, and she's like, hey, could you give me a ride in the morning? And the husband's just like, no, I can't give you a ride in the morning. And it's basically, they're filming her, watching them through their motel room. They kind of close the shades. And I remember when I first watched this, I was like, oh man, I'm kind of getting into this. Like, where is this going to go? And once again, it's a very good way of building tension. I don't know what's out there, but I know whatever the hell is out there is interested on our two characters that we've been following. And like, that really kind of raised the stakes, where I was like, damn, like, how is this going to pay off? There's a scene where the couple, they're walking around, they see this sort of Zoltar machine, not from Big, although they do mention Big. They're like, oh, look, let's make a wish, just like the movie Big. They kind of get their fortune from it. And it pretty much, I won't say what it says, but it pretty much predicts the ending of the story. And I thought that was a little and especially with how they pay it off. So spoiler here of how they pay this off. Oh, granted, I'm not spoiling much. There's nothing much to spoil with this story. You find out that these couple are not really close and they're kind of doubting each other the whole time. And you find out that this woman outside, she is together with the woman of the couple and they're lesbian killing lovers. And for some reason, they took all this time to kind of butter up the husband. And it's weird because there are scenes where the killer is filming them while they're asleep and they have this bright light on their faces. And I'm just like, yo, what the heck is this? Like, what? Like, what? If I was sleeping and you filmed me in the brightest light possible, I think I would come to and wake up. I don't know. But there's some scenes where the fucking killer lady, she takes the guy's toothbrush and puts it in the toilet. And then the guy uses it in the morning and you're supposed to go, oh, ew, that's gross. Like, what the fuck? Like, what? Like, really? It's just kind of weird at how the killer sort of butters up the victim. And then the payoff is just kind of blah. He gets stabbed in the throat. The two killers drive off together. And one of them says, did you delete the tape? And I guess not, because that's what we watched. But I don't know, man. I'm just sort of on this story. Again, I do think the atmosphere, the tension that he's trying to build is there. However, I just don't think the guy is good at payoffs. And I'm not sure if that's a writing fault. I'm not sure if that's an execution fault. Because in a lot of ways, when I think about movies like House of the Devil, Ty West's House of the Devil, I like the setup. I like Tom Noonan and Jocelyn Donahue. It's not the cast's fault. Hell, that movie even had Greta Gerwig in it for a really small cameo, which is weird to see her in that film. But I just, again, while I've seen movies in the 60s and the 70s do that type of story and do that type of ending, I felt those movies did it far more impactful than a movie like House of the Devil. And here's this segment where I sort of felt the same way. I was intrigued. I felt the tension. I felt the horror that they were trying to get you to feel. And at the end, you just kind of sitting there like this and you have a lot that is left desired. And I think that's, in a lot of ways, it's such a letdown. It's even more of a letdown that way as opposed to when something is just outright bad, because then there's no potential at all. With Ty West, I do see the potential. I just don't think the guy has that payoff. So that's just my brief opinion on Ty West. I'm probably alone in that. There are a lot of people that are marks for him and love everything the guy touches. I just don't see it, man. I think the guy has that. I think he has a absolute talent, but I don't know. I just don't think he's quite reached that full potential. He's one of those like guys I think about what could have been or what can be. I mean, this guy is not old. He's definitely a guy that could rebound. Unfortunately, he's done mostly TV work over the past 5 years. He hasn't made a feature film in about 5 years. So I don't know. I don't know if maybe he's kind of called it quits for a little while. I don't know if he's just more into directing television, but I'd like to see him try again. He's one of those guys, maybe get a different writer. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what he's exactly missing. I don't know if it's execution towards paying off or if it's writing. I don't know what the standpoint is, but either way, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing him try again. But in a lot of his films, I just don't feel the hype that a lot of people do. Bloodbound Productions in the house. Good brother Gid, how are you, my friend? How are you tonight? Hope all is well with you, man. I don't know if nobody's commenting or other than you, or like this has been the least comments I've ever gotten during a live stream. This is so weird. But I guess I'll just keep going. And it's funny because this got a lot of Instagram love, but I don't know. I guess everybody's chilling tonight, baby. But no big deal. I know how it is, and no worries at all. I don't even mind not getting comments. I actually like just shooting the shit. I've thought about in the past, like maybe I should just pre-record these, but at the same time, it's fun to do it live too. I don't know. There's something risky about it. I like it. But that was Second Honeymoon. Very mad to below average story for me. Third story now is directed by Glenn McQuaid, and it is called Tuesday the 17th. Of course, we have to have a slasher, not a parody in this, but this is like, I don't even know how to describe this. And Glenn McQuaid, sadly, this is one of the few guys that after this really didn't go on to do much. He did a movie called, I think, 5 States of Horror or something like that. And that was it. He has not directed a feature-length film. He has not really done much in his career. This was one of his only real moments in the sun at trying horror. And what he did was basically tell the story of these kids that go on a camping trip, and one by one they're picked off by this sort of like static slasher, and you can only see the slasher through the camera's point of view, and it's all like static glitches kind of looking. It's a decent enough design. You kind of get the idea that maybe the killer has red skin, like it kind of looks like a cross between Darth Maul and a very similar look to that thing in Insidious, the main demon in the first Insidious. I get the idea that it's that, but all very blurry, and you don't really get a great look at it. And these characters are picked off one by one. I gotta say, I'm not too big on this one either. I think while I think the concept is interesting, I also think the setting is so cliche, and it's almost acknowledging how cliche it is. Tuesday the 17th, very clever. Friday the 13th nod. I get what they were going for, and I think there will be people that do like this direction and do like that, hey, they're paying homage to slasher films. I love slasher films. And I love slasher films too. But I almost, part of me thinks that like maybe they should have tried to do something different, because this was a movie where they had free creative control. They could have done any kind of story that they wanted, and then instead they kind of just did another camp slasher. Like, I don't know. Personally, with me, like if I was Glenn McQuaid or if I was any of these five guys, I would have been like, I want to do something completely new or something that completely hasn't been done in a while, something that hasn't been done to death. And especially at this time, slasher films had really kind of burned themselves out. And I think this was a really poor idea to do this kind of slasher concept in this movie. Now, I know there will also be people that will say, hey, get away from the paranormal stuff. There's too many paranormal little chapters or segments in this movie. And I understand that completely. But I don't know. I feel like if I was going out there to try something new, I would have probably just escaped from doing another slasher. That's just personally me. Is it the worst thing in the world? It's not. Like the characters, again, they're not much. There's one, the one girl sets them all up and she says something like, you're all going to fucking die. And then none of them, like, they all play it off like, you. Like, bitch, if somebody said that to me, I would be like, excuse me? Are you serious? And if they said yes, I would fucking get in a car and drive home. But that's just me. The Undead of Night, what's going on, good brother? Hope all is well tonight. I like Ty West's The Innkeepers. Once again, man, another one where I liked the first like hour of it, and then the last, I don't know, it just kind of towards the end. He's so close. I swear, man. Ty West, he's got talent. I'm not trying to bury the guy. I just, man, he's like one step away. I don't know what the problem is exactly, but it's definitely something there. Hell yeah, that segment was fucking nuts. Yeah, no doubt. It was a pretty crazy segment. There's one scene where the girl is doing like all these cheers, and she gets stabbed in like the back of the head, and the knife pops out of the eye. Okay, the one guy gets stabbed, and I do think there's far too much CGI gore in this segment, like not enough practical gore. There's the ending where one of the characters is getting gutted. That's practical. I thought that looked good, but her kill, his kill, it's very like CGI splatter. I don't know. Not one of the greatest stories in any of these movies. Just kind of a run of the mill. And I can almost see why that this guy didn't get too many chances after this, because he really didn't bring that much new to the table. Like, yes, have we seen a glitchy static killer before? Probably not. But in that setting, it just didn't work. It was too much of hearkening back or parodying back to what the films of yesteryear in 1981 were, as opposed to being kind of its own thing. And I think that kind of hurts it for me. That's Tuesday the 17th by Glenn McQuaid. Next one up was The Sick Thing That Happened to Emily When She Was Younger. This was directed by Joe Swanberg, who hasn't really directed much horror. This is one of the only things I could see in his filmography that was straight up horror. This, while I do think some of the scare sequences work, it also feels very Paranormal Activity. It's basically this boyfriend and girlfriend, and they're on this kind of web chat, this like, webcam or whatever, Skype chat, if you will. And they're going back and forth, and she believes that her house is haunted, and you see little things happen behind her in the background. He's kind of trying to talk her down, there's nothing wrong. Calm down, baby. It can be a little bit scary at times. It does have some effective scares in it. But this is the one where I'm just like, where the story just completely was just way too ambiguous and a little too fucking dumb, in in my opinion. Because it just like the payoff of this one is just, it makes the Ty West one look like a great payoff. This is like, they're arguing. She thinks there's somebody in the fucking apartment. And then all of a sudden she fucking faints. And like, you find out that this guy, you think at first that he's miles and miles away. He's just a few apartments over. Like, he lives in the same apartment. And then like, they're trying to plant an alien fetus into her. And then like, they trick her into saying, oh, you know, you got hit by a car and you're schizophrenic. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I just didn't like the direction of the story in this segment. Like, I thought it was completely like, what the fuck? This is too ambiguous. And then it ends where he's on the Skype call with somebody else. And like, he's getting all of these women to show their yits. And I'm just sitting there, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what am I watching, man? Like, this is fucking a really weird story. And like, where I do think some of the scares work and some of the scares were executed properly. At the end of the day, this is another one where it's just a little too fucking poorly paid off. And it left a little bit to be desired, but not as much as the Ty West one. I don't think as much to be desired. Like, I definitely think this was just a standard. How can we rip off Paranormal Activity? Fuck it, we'll do Skype cam and ghosts and fucking fetus planting. Weird, really fucking weird. Like, I don't know. I did not like this story. Probably my least favorite story of the bunch. It does have some effective scares though, so I can't give it the total fail, but definitely one where I'm just kind of on it. And that's the fourth story. And then the final story is 10/31/98, so Halloween night of 1998. This is my favorite segment of the film, and this is probably my second favorite of the entire trilogy. And this was directed by, in this film, they go under the name of Radio Silence, but in reality, now they go more by their real names, Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and I think Tyler Gillett. They're the two main guys of Radio Silence. They actually have gone on now to make the new Scream movie. And they also made, I believe after this came out, and this is, I'll get back to the story. After this movie came out, I had the idea that like after I watched it, that one of these five were going to get a chance to do like a theatrical studio budgeted film. And this was the crew they picked, the Radio Silence. They were the ones that got the job to direct a studio budgeted horror film. And on paper, that sounds so cool. How cool is it that we get to make our own horror film? The film that they got to direct was called Devil's Due. And I don't think it was entirely their fault. I will say that. I'll go out on a limb and say that. But it is an absolute piece of shit movie, unfortunately. It might have been the writer. I don't know. It's a very poor Rosemary's Baby wannabe. And they didn't really let these directors do what they did with this last segment of the first film, which I really like this last segment. I'll get into it. But it seems like they've since rebounded. They made Ready or Not, which was a huge hit with critics and moviegoers alike. People really loved that film. I did not see it. Samara Weaving stars. It's like it looked more of like a action comedy with some gore thrown in there. It didn't really look straight up horror, but it definitely had elements. And then they got the job to make the new Scream film. So they're really on their way. I mean, in the world of the horror genre, I just think that's kind of a shame. That's the big job, is to make Scream 5. That's the big job now. Like, it's just, it's so lame, man. Just let them do something like this again. I would much prefer what their creative ideas are after something like this. And this segment tells the story of these few friends. I think there's 4 friends, and this one's the only one actually shot on a VHS camcorder. And they go to this house. They think that there's going to be this big Halloween party there. The house at first seems empty, and then they go up the stairs and they see these people kind of trying to perform. I don't know if it's an exorcism or, I don't know what, but they're basically torturing this fucking girl, and they're like yelling, and then they kind of see these guys, and then all of a sudden shit hits the fan, and all these guys get sucked up into the ceiling, disappear. They try to get this girl out of the house. There's hands coming out of the walls. There's windows and doors that slowly start to close. And where they use CGI, you'd think, oh, it'll look cheap or whatever. But on video, on VHS kind of camera, it looks better because you see much less of it. You don't see it as clearly as you would see it in an HD shot format. And I thought that even helped. okay, we can use an overabundance of CGI. You can't really see it that well. Therefore, it doesn't look bad. And I thought that was really well done. There's a scene where they're trying to take the girl out of the house, and these hands are kind of grabbing at them through the tunnels, and they're banging through the doors. And it's a really well done, like, tense story. I love the tension in it. They get out, they get to the car, and I remember being like, what a cool kind of way to end a movie like this. Like, we can end on a happy note. Boy, was I wrong. They get to this kind of train track stop. The car stops. The girl transports herself out of the car. Of course, she's, a demon or whatever. She's possessed. And these guys, they can't drive the car forward or backwards. They can't get out of the car. And a train comes, boom, wipes their asses out. And we roll the credits. I think that's really good. I really liked the kind of twist at the end there of kind of watch who you save type of thing. And I thought it was pretty well executed by Radio Silence. I really liked the old school gags they did. Some old school horror, like haunted house gags where, the fucking like vases were flying and tables were flying and all this fucking furniture was flying all over the place. Really crazy shit. But I enjoyed how it was done here. I thought it was really well done. Bloodbound Productions says, this is my favorite segment. Chad, Matt, and Rob came as a fucking really pleasant surprise. I grew up watching their alien prank video, and they were behind the movie Southbound 2. Yeah, I have not seen Southbound, but I know that a couple filmmakers from this went on to work in Southbound, and that's really cool. I'd actually like to see that movie. Ryan Larkin, hey, what's going on, good brother? Hope all is well with you tonight. First and last of VHS, one of our best. I completely agree. When it comes to the first film, I really like the first segment. I think it's scary. I think it's effective. I think it's brutal, and I love the design of the girl. Hannah, oh God, what's her damn name? I would like to get her name here because she's just such a scary looking Hannah Fireman. She is, or Fearman. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. The design for that, like, look of the succubus or whatever, the fangs, and that is just some horrifying shit, man. And it holds up well. Even 10 years later, it's still as scary as you watch it from the first time. Even if you know it's going to happen, it's just done in such a brutal way. And I think that last segment, it's the best in a lot of ways because of some of the gags they were able to use, actually shooting it on VHS footage, other than, like, unlike the other ones that kind of like a webcam, and then you fucking made that VHS. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's just silly to me. But yeah, those are my two favorites of this movie. I think they're both really, really well done. And the last one's probably my favorite. I fucking love the deleted ending where they escaped the car before it got hit by the train, and they're just walking away laughing as their car blows up, and they're like, hell yeah, let's do that again, dudes. Yes, I seen the alternate ending. I watched that today, actually. I honestly, I would have been totally fine with that if they did get out of the car at the end and they survived, because the one thing I will say about most of these stories, aside from maybe one of them, I'm not even kidding, I think one of them in the entire trilogy has a happy ending. I think literally all of them have the same downbeat, it's over type of ending. And I would not have mind the change of pace here. And I know people will be like, well, what do you want, a happy ending? Honestly, if you're going to do 5 segments and 4 of them end where it's over, the person died, or it's too little too late, blah, 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 why not have one end where the fucking people get out? Just for sake of, we switched it up, just for that sake, I think. I would have no problem if they didn't end it like that. But I definitely think that this ending too really works. And it's like, you're like, oh my God, these guys were thinking they were doing the right thing and rescuing this girl. Instead, they go through all that shit and they were sealing their own fate to all get wiped out by this fucking train. Horror done right. I really like this segment, and I really wish, after this fucking Scream nonsense that I have no interest in seeing, I definitely think that these filmmakers, Radio Silence, they should go on and make their own original stuff. Not studio written films like Devils Do, but more stuff like Ready or Not. And even though I haven't seen Ready or Not, it's gotten good enough reviews where I think they should keep going down that road as opposed to a Scream 5. That's just me. I want to see these new up-and-comers do new and up-and-coming things, not just the 5th Scream movie. But that's just me. I could probably be wrong about that. I'm sure probably people are thrilled. But I really like this final segment for sure. Since Viral sucked, I want to get a bunch of that. Holy shit. We'll get to Viral. Horror YouTubers and make a fan film of VHS. They actually, they've approached the studio to do a VHS prequel called VHS 94. And all the films, I guess, or segments are going to take place in the early 90s in 1994. Now, I know this was originally pitched years ago after Viral came out, and it was rejected then, and now it's been accepted. So they're trying to get that movie off the ground as we speak. Who knows if they will? I don't know. Like, part of me wants another one just because it's not one of those sequels where you could actually like okay, let's get away from the people we worked with on Viral and let's get new up and comers. I would be all for that, to be honest. I think this is one of those series where you can move on from the piece of shit that was the third film. But with that said, I'm not dying for one either. I'm fine with this as a trilogy because I do enjoy the first two films. If I had to rank the first VHS film out of 10, I'm going to come in with a solid 6.5 out of 10. I really like two of the segments, and then I think two of them are kind of middle of the road to below average, and then one of them I think is just below average, the fourth story. I do not like the webcam one. That's not one of my favorites. But this was a big surprise hit, and a lot of people were probably not expecting this one to really do much, and it really spread through word of mouth. Everybody and their mother saw it, and they immediately started production on VHS 2. And I think it was cool that they got a couple of known filmmakers to make efforts in this. And then again, another, a couple up and comers. So we can go right into this after this Gideon comment. Dude, that would be great. I kind of like the idea that the tapes are their own entities where they can't be explained. They just exist on their own. Yeah. And they kind of introduce in the second film here that the tapes can affect you. Like if you watch enough of these tapes, you start to sort of lose your mind and your nose will start to bleed, which is kind of ripped off from the Ring remake. But I don't mind that. I like that it's almost like a social satire on like we are watching too much shit, blah blah blah. We're gonna lose our minds, type of thing. It's kind of a social commentary on that. I don't mind that. I think that's actually kind of a smart way to take it because the segment and the kind of setup for this wraparound story, where it is the best wraparound of the three. Again, it's not that much. It's this man and woman there looking for a tape. They're looking for this guy that went missing who was watching all these tapes. They kind of break into where he was staying. And of course, they pop in the tapes one by one. It's not much of a wraparound story. The first one is a group of people. And then there was somebody that killed them all in the house. It's really not much of anything. This one it's just two people watching the thing. Like, it's really the same fucking thing, just done with less people, which I actually thought worked slightly better because at least you got a little bit of character development from these leads, if for nothing else. But we get into the first story here, and it was directed by Adam Wingard, who, of all of these filmmakers that worked on segments, I dare say that he's the one that's gone the furthest since these movies. And Adam Wingard, I've never been a big fan, never, even before these past few years. Of course, he's the man that brought us Blair Witch 2016, which is one of my least favorite sequels of all time. He also I believe he made The Guest here. I'm going to pull up his filmography. I want to make sure I don't miss any of his filmography because he's a guy that I definitely am not a big fan of, but I want to get everything. Okay, yes, the one I was missing that I was thinking of, I was missing You're Next, which everybody loves. I am not a fan of the movie, never was, never will be. I just don't like the film. The Guest, where I really like Dan Stevens. I think Dan Stevens really good. Films like Death Note, which is garbage. And then, crazy enough, where I say he's become the furthest, I definitely think it's crazy that this is the guy that went on to direct Godzilla versus King Kong. Yes, Adam Wingard is the guy that went on to direct that film. Absolutely wild. I know that he got a job that big and as starting from roots like this and films, little like smaller films before this. But it's interesting to see that a guy that worked on one of these films is now making a giant studio blockbuster film in a monster burst like Godzilla versus Kong. It's just absolutely wild to me. Do I think he was the right guy to pick out of all these people? No goddamn way. I'll tell you who I think they should have picked, but we'll get there. I haven't seen any of the VHS movies. Didn't look interesting to me. Your description of the Halloween story makes me want to see it. I highly recommend, man. I think it's a really good one. Also, for everybody watching, the first and the third one are on Tubi for free. You can watch them right now for free on Tubi. The second film, to my knowledge, is not free to watch everywhere. I know there's a rip of it on YouTube, but it's in another language. so you can watch it with subtitles. But I don't know. And it's a shame because of the three, if I was to recommend one, I would say watch VHS 2. It's the best of the three of them by far. But honestly, I would say watch the first one. Give the first one a shot. And it's free on Tubi, so that's really cool. I mean, everybody can kind of kick back, relax, and give that a look. And I think these movies go for very cheap on Blu-ray as well. I don't think these movies go for too much. There's also editions I've seen where you can get the Blu-ray and the VHS together. Like you get the little Blu-ray, and then there's a giant like box of old school VHS tape, which I thought was fun. For these movies called VHS, you got to release them on VHS just for the novelty of it. I thought that was really smart to do. But the first story, directed by Adam Wingard, this is probably the only story in VHS 2 I'm not a big fan of. This is this guy, he gets this eye surgery, and he sort of starts seeing ghosts. And it's just really, it's much of nothing. Like he goes home, he sees ghosts, he's trying to ignore them. There are some failed scares in there. And this woman shows up and she's like, oh, well, I have the same thing, and you just got to learn to ignore it. And sometimes you got to fuck through it. And he's like, what? And she just starts fucking the guy. And they cut all that footage out. Like the whole thing is through his perspective, like his point of view, through his eye. And of course, the sex scene is cut out. Oh, we didn't see that. Like, I remember I was like, what the fuck? You showed me all this bullshit and then you cut that out? Like, just very lame. I don't know. The scares in this one just did not work for me. I thought this was a poorly executed little short story and a bad start to a really good movie for me. I don't really want to go too in depth on that one. It's my least favorite. Phase 1 clinical trials. Not a fan. I would say pass that one. The next story, though, is one of my favorites of the entire trilogy, and it's called A Ride in the Park. And they actually got Eduardo Sanchez to come back after years and years before this, directing a little found footage film called The Blair Witch Project. He comes in to direct A Ride in the Park. And I like that. I think it's nice to kind of pay back to the guys that paved the way. Now, I know that Blair Witch wasn't the first found footage film. I know everybody points to Deodato's Cannibal Holocaust, which has, of course, the shot on video stuff with the New York City film crew. I really think it's nice to kind of call somebody like Eduardo Sanchez back, who really made it popular with the Blair Witch Project. I mean, there's no doubting that the Blair Witch Project is really what made these type of movies popular. Whether it was the first or not, that was the one that kind of made this format a thing and possible and popular. And I think it's cool to kind of give him a call back and say, hey, buddy, we saw what you could do in 1999. What can you do in 2013? Come in, write a creative story, and go for it, man. And this is a little bit of a zombie segment, which I thought was a lot of fun. There's not too many horror anthologies with zombie segments in there. And I thought this was a really well tackled one. It basically follows this guy. He's riding through the park on his bicycle. He's talking to his girlfriend at the beginning of the segment, and he has this GoPro camera. So again, you know, kind of get POV shots of him riding the bicycle. Once again, I don't know how you got GoPro camera footage onto a VHS. I don't know, but it is what it is. You have that, and he's riding through the park, and he basically eventually comes along a zombie and gets bit. And you're like, holy shit, you know. Oh, just check VHS 2 is on Shudder in Canada. Very cool. That's cool. I will say to you, man, I recommend this one. I spoil a lot, so I can't really help that. But I would say, man, if there's going to be one you watch this one. Watch VHS 2. Ignore the shitty Adam Wingard story. And these last three are horror at their best. You get this guy, he's riding his bicycle, he gets bit by the zombie, and the entire thing is like the birth of the zombie apocalypse through this guy's GoPro camera, through his perspective. And it's really well done. You get these zombies that their eyes turn all the way white and they vomit these like black goo before they turn. And then this whole kind of swarm goes across and finds this like 8-year-old girl's birthday party. And I guess you can imagine what goes on from there. A lot of fucking zombie chaos and stuff like that at this poor little girl's birthday party. And I really like this segment. I think it was really good. And I think the number one thing why it works is it's not just a zombie story for the sake of it. Now, I always say this too. Like a lot of people with the like zombie genre, they always think, how much gore can we do? How much brutality can we do? And that is what it is. I understand people that think that way. But to me, like the importance of zombie films are always the human elements of them. whether it be Romero's Night of the Living Dead and the whole theme of, if we can't work together in here, we will be consumed by the zombies out there. I like that. I really like that concept and that theme. And I like what it has to say about us as humans. We are our own worst enemies. And if we can't work together, we'll be destroyed by those monsters. I like that. I like that narrative. And this just isn't another gory one with no point, no message, nothing to say. This one has something to say. And what it has to say is, we see this zombie character and he sees a reflection of himself at one point in the car window. He sees this reflection of himself and he sees what he's become. And it's almost like the primitive instinct of him knows the guy he used to be, riding the bicycle, calling his girlfriend, telling her that he loves her. And I really like that there's a scene where he realizes and he's just like, look at what I've become. And then there's a point where she calls his phone and he looks and he just sees her name. And it's like he can't put it all the way together, but he can kind of come up with enough. And you really do feel for this lead character. And I like how that's tackled. There's not too many newer zombie films that go for something like that. Here's a zombie that saw what he was back in the past, and he's ashamed by the monster he's become, and thus takes a shotgun, puts it in his own mouth, and ends it himself. Very cool. I like the heart of this story. I think that's such a cool way to take a zombie story. Is there still some gore? Is there still some fun to be had? Absolutely. That is signed, sealed, and delivered to the viewer 100%. But I like that they added that little heart element because it takes it from being ordinary to being extraordinary. I like how this was tackled. And I think a guy like Eduardo Sanchez, he's another guy. I wish he got more shots. I wish he got more chances. I know Altered was his follow-up to The Blair Witch, and I don't mind that film. I actually like the film Altered, but he's a guy. Where was his big studio budget shot? Why did he never get one? Like, it doesn't make any sense. The guy makes The Blair Witch Project one of the most profitable fucking horror films of all time. And he didn't get a call from any fucking studio to, hey, do you want to actually work with money this time? Use your creativity, and you have the ability to afford all these things you were not able to be afforded with the first go around. I don't get how he's a guy that never got that call. It just doesn't make any sense. You call Adam Wingard to make a fucking $200 million monster movie, but you don't call Eduardo Sanchez to do really anything? He's got to come up with the funds over the time of 7 years to make a film like Altered? It's very weird how Hollywood works. And Ryan Larkin says it right here best, and I couldn't agree with this more. Adam W., it's the art of failing upward. Really? What did he really ever do to get himself that job? I want to know whose dick he sucked to get the Godzilla versus Kong thing. I really want to know whose dick he sucked. Like, that has to be it. There's no other way he got the job. It just doesn't make sense. Like, is Your Next? I know some people love Your Next. I'm not one of them, but does that really, you watch that movie and go, Godzilla versus Kong, that's got to be the fucking guy? Do you really watch Blair Witch 2016 and go, that's got to be the guy that directs Godzilla versus Kong? No, that's just not, you didn't pick the right guy. You really didn't. Now, is Godzilla versus Kong the worst thing in the world? No, it's not. But I just don't, I don't know. I don't get it. I feel bad for a guy like Eduardo Sanchez. And I do respect the producers of this film that called him and said, hey, let's pay it forward. You're a big reason why we're here doing this right now. And we'd like you to come in and kind of prove that you still got it. And he did. I really think he did. I really like this story, A Ride Through the Park. One of my favorites of the entire trilogy. Probably my third favorite. In the next story here, I clicked on the wrong tab. The next story, it's my favorite of any of these three movies. This is one of my favorite horror short story anthology segments ever done. I mean, this is just top tier horror. And it was called Safe Haven, and it is directed by Gareth Evans and Timo Tadjanto. It might be the J might be the first J, Tadjanto. I'm not sure how I'm saying that name. I may be saying it wrong, so I apologize if I am saying it wrong. But Gareth Evans had come off making a little movie called The Raid, which was one of the best action films of our time. I love The Raid. I think it's a great film. And when I heard he was announced for this movie, I was like, what is an action director like that going to do with a horror anthology segment? Your answer is Safe Haven. you get this documentary film crew, and they're trying to learn stuff about this cult, this Indonesian cult. And a lot of the beginning is kind of just set up. You know, you're learning, we were introduced to the lead guy who's the head of this cult, and we're taken through classrooms and shown different bits and pieces of this building. And it all seems well, all seems okay. They give this little subplot of one of the lead female is cheating on the lead male with one of the guys in the crew. We get that. It's just under the surface. And then, you know, this one goes along. I remember the first time I watched this, I'm like, what is this really leading to? All of a sudden, this bell goes off, and this lead guy goes, it's time. I'm watching this. I'm like, what the fuck? What is going on? This fucking segment goes absolutely over the top. And then again, this is one of the most over the top fun segments in any movie I could ever remember. All hell fucking breaks loose in this. There's this, it's time. This guy pops out a thing of box cutters, cuts the shit out of one of the cameramen who won't shut the fuck up. We see this classroom of little children, and they're all learning, and then they are all drinking this kind of like what we think might be juice. It's not juice. We see this one guy, he's talking to this woman on this bed, trying to like nurture her and shit like that. And you could tell that, you know, she's shy or whatever, and he's trying to show her the way. And this is like almost like a biblical look. But again, it doesn't overexpose. It just gives us ideas and hints, and we kind of fill in the blanks with this ourselves. But all of a sudden, this place just goes fucking bonkers. There's a crazy fucking birth scene. One of these, the lady that committed the infidelity, she gives birth to this fucking giant demon thing that just emerges out of her stomach. There is the fucking setup from before where that guy was talking to the woman. He's fucking the shit out of her when one of the guys trying to run out of the place, and you see all this gore flying around. So like he's literally fucking her, like, and there's blood everywhere. Like, holy shit. You see all these kids, they take these drinks and they all fucking die. They've been poisoned. You see this crazy like mass suicide where one of the characters, he runs into this room, and like all the fucking people, they put guns to their heads and they all say this at the same time. Boom! Fucking like 20 mass suicide shots to the temple at once. It's a crazy visual, man. This one guy's trying to kill the lead guy. They're fighting, struggling. He gets shotgun to the face. Again, bringing the action element to a horror death cult segment. Really good stuff. Really, and I think as innovative as it gets with all of these. Number one, this is a lot of fun. Number two, there's just no bounds. This knows no bounds, this segment. It just goes for it. I really appreciate that. Now, there's a fine line between goofy and what this is to me. Like, is this over the top? 100%, but it's done so well that I think the horror is executed right, the violence is executed right, and it's just so like, you're like, oh my God, what is going to happen next? It just completely turns the volume from maybe 3 at the beginning and just turns it up and turns it all the way up to fucking 100. And it really works. There's this really fucking funny, bizarre ending to this where the one guy, you think he's escaped, and his car gets fucking ran off the road by this fucking giant goat demon. And of course, there's this great visual. Probably my favorite visual of the entire series is where this guy, he crawls out from the wreckage. There's this giant fucking thing of saliva, you know, leaning off his jaw, and he's like looking around, and this demon thing is like above him, and it just goes, Papa. And of course, the guy starts laughing, and it's just like, that's his fucking son. Is this fucking giant goat demon thing? Holy shit. I remember the first time I watched this, I was running around like a fucking little kid. I was like, this is holy shit. Like running around the room, just absolutely enjoying the hell out of myself. This is horror done right to me. And it is the best fucking segment in all of these movies. Just because they really, number one, they went for it. Number two, I thought they executed everything right. Like, okay, could the birth scene have been done without CGI? Probably. I think they probably would have been better if they'd done that more practically. But to see a giant goat thing emerge out of this woman on this fucking slab, I don't know how they could have done that practically. It probably would have cost crazy money. So I don't know. Maybe that was just a budgetary limit, but it's nothing that would ruin this thing from being good. There's the cult leader fucking explodes. Like, it's just absolutely one of the craziest segments in the history of movies. It's just absolutely great stuff. I love Safe Haven, my favorite of all of these segments. It just has the best like feel, tone, pacing, everything. I love that. Papa. I love that. As stupid as it is, like some people probably like it will turn them off to this. After everything you just saw and witnessed, there's no way you can't just go, oh my God, this fucking thing is his son. Like it is just like, I love it. I completely played along. I just thought it was so well done. And we'll get into VHS Viral where I couldn't even play along. It was the one where I stopped playing along. I just fucking completely waved a white flag. King Me Guards in the house. I made it high. What's going on, Dad? How are you? Hope all is Papa. How are you, good brother? Hope all is well with you tonight. Me and Corey, of course, I mentioned at the beginning. I'll mention at the end. We drop our summertime slashing series tomorrow on Corey's channel, 6 p.m. It's going to premiere. Please check it out live if you can. If not, just give us a like after anyways, or a watch or a comment. Any of the support helps. We had a really, really good time, and Corey edited it all together, and we're going to be doing a little sneak preview for me after I go off the air tonight. So I'll be checking out the episode. I'm super excited to check it out. I like to think the demon thought the main character was his father. Well, that's exactly what he thought. That's the whole point, is that he committed the infidelity with the lady who's with the lead cameraman, and thus she's pregnant with his son. And then the fucking son comes out to be this giant fucking goat thing. It is his son. That is his son. And it's somehow orchestrated by this cult because he committed infidelity, and that in their cult is a huge sin. Fucking wild. Absolutely fucking wild. But I think really well done. I think the reason for that is Gareth Evans. Gareth Evans is fucking fantastic. And I will give credit to the other filmmaker. He's gone on to make some good stuff. Timo Tahajanto, I think that's how you say his name. I'm not positive, but he's really good too. They've both gone to do some good stuff. The Raid 2 was a really, really good film. I can't wait to see what Gareth Evans does next. I would love to see him do like fucking more feature length stuff. Like give me a feature length horror movie of this. Like that would be fucking crazy. But at the same time, it kind of works as a segment too. Papa, I love it. Just fucking one of my favorite lines of any of these movies, man. Really good stuff. I wish I could have a goat demon as a son. Dude, all you got to do is commit infidelity on your gal and somehow stumble across an Indonesian death cult. And then I think you're going to have the best goat demon son that anybody could ever fucking ask for. You go play Frisbee in the park. You could go you could watch baseball together. Like that would be a fun fucking relationship for me. I love that segment though. I highly recommend it. I believe it's the longest of all of the VHS segments. I could be wrong, but I believe it's like 40 minutes. And that's the thing with the second one, that they cut down the running time like 25 minutes. The first one's like 2 hours. This one's like an hour 35. So they really cut down the running time. And this is the longest story. This is like almost half of the film is this segment. And they could not have picked a better one. I thought it was a really, really good one. Going on my bucket list, dude. If I could be the Godfather, I would be super fucking appreciative. Okay, I want to be full on fucking. Oh God, what the fuck's his name? Brando. I want to be full on Brando. I never wanted this for you, Demon God. I never wanted this for you, but your fucking father, he had it against me. I never wanted this for you. I kind of want to see a dark horror comedy of that now. Dude, why not? Why not? Go make it. Go make it, man. Fucking my goat son. Go for it. And now the last segment. Slumber Party Alien Abduction, written and directed by one Jason Eisner, who had been coming off a very big exploitation film hit at the time. Little movie called Hobo with a Shotgun. Yes, I adore Hobo with a Shotgun. One of my favorite exploitation films of the last 10 years. Just a really fun throwback to what 70s grindhouse movies were. And it had that great Technicolor look of all these blotchy colors and the over-the-top, I'm the fucking Drake. And just, I mean, that's a movie that was really, Safe Haven's over the top, but that's another movie that just goes for it. It's just such an over-the-top little film of just absolute insanity. And I love Hobo with a Shotgun. So when I heard that he was announced for this, I was really excited. I was like, okay, we saw his exploitation effort. What is his horror effort going to be? I think this is a really fun one. And like, granted, okay, is it groundbreaking? No, but I really had fun with this one. It's basically these group of kids, the younger kids, they're kind of playing around, they're swimming, whatnot. They get this camera in the mail and they put it on their dog, and the entire perspective of this story takes place from the point of view of the dog. You see these little like dog hairs. And now, granted, I don't know anybody that would actually do that. Like, I don't know anybody who would actually put their fucking camera on a dog. Like, I don't know anybody that would do that. But at the same time, I appreciate the creativity of Jason Eisner. How many have we fucking seen where it's, oh hey, Mr. Punctuality? You know, how many have we seen with the fucking found footage like turning and shit? Go, why not the dog? Why not do it from the perspective of the dog? It's a little something different. Granted, I know there will probably be people that fucking hate it and it doesn't make sense. And I'll agree, it doesn't make the most sense. But I don't know. For me, it added a little bit more something new to the table that I hadn't seen in any found footage before or since. We'll mount this on the fucking dog. And the entire segment is through that dog's perspective. I like that. I think it was well done. You get these aliens and they invade, and there's some pretty decently done scare sequences. There's one where the kids are swimming in the water and, you know, the camera's under the water and you see this alien kind of for a split second, and then there's a splash and the alien's gone. That's a really well done one. There's a scene where the police come and you see all these sirens, and then, you know, the aliens start cleaning house. Really, really cool stuff. The design of the aliens, it's your classic, like the glow in the dark aliens. And you know what I mean if you've seen any like the glow in the dark alien that's on the cover of those things. Like that's the classic standard. They're not bright neon, they're more white, but it's that same exact alien, like the classic alien design. That's what this is. And it's mostly done practically. And I like that. Like, why not do a fucking alien invasion one? I thought that was a lot of fun to have to be in this one. It is the shortest, I believe, of all the stories. So I'm not sure why they ended it with this one. Like, I probably would have ended it with Safe Haven. I might have put this one as the third and then Safe Haven as the finale. Because that's the one that takes the cake for me. But part of me is like, maybe they thought Jason Eisner was the biggest name that they got, at least in the exploitation horror world, whereas Gareth Evans was probably the biggest name they got. Jason Eisner was probably the hottest thing on the block at that point. And I could see why they had his story go last. I'm not sure if that's why, but that's what I think. And he's since gone on to do, which is really cool. He is the producer, director, creator of the series Dark Side of the Ring, which tells the stories of all of these wrestlers that have suffered tragedy at one point or another in their life in the business of professional wrestling. Jason Eisner's a big horror guy, big exploitation guy, big wrestling guy, just like me. I love Jason Eisner. Seems like the nicest guy in the world. I actually, back in the day when I had Twitter, he followed me and I followed him. I love Jason Eisner. We had some cool conversations back in the day talking about old school exploitation flicks and his favorite wrestler of all time, The Undertaker. I know he's a big Undertaker guy. And I don't know, I think it's really cool to see that he's still working and his show is one of the most rated shows on television. I really like that. But selfishly, I'd have to say that I would like to see Jason Eisner return to the genre. As much as I like Dark Side of the Ring, and I think it's a cool, in a lot of ways, it's the horrifying aspects of the professional wrestling business is Dark Side of the Ring. And I really like that a guy that from the horror world wants to tackle something like that. And I like it. And I hope whenever the show does end, or even while it's still going, maybe he just ventures back out into doing another exploitation film like A Hobo with a Shotgun, or a feature-length horror film, something like this. I would be all for that. I think Jason Eisner is a guy, he's creative, he respects the art, he doesn't rip off the art, he really is a fan that gets it and executes it. And I think that's the most important thing with him. I really am a big fan of Jason Eisner, not just as a filmmaker, but as a person. I think the guy is a really, really cool guy. I like Jason Eisner, and I always look forward to what he's doing next. I think he's a really, really cool filmmaker. So that's VHS 2. Overall, this is my favorite of the three by a mile. I really, really like this one. Aside from the Adam Wingard segment, I like this whole thing. I even think the wraparound is pretty decent. I really do. I like the walk in the park. I love what Eduardo Sanchez was able to do with the zombie tale. I really like Safe Haven, Crazy Death, Indonesian Cult, where all shit hits the fan and they just turn that shit up to 100. And then, of course, the finale, the alien slumber party abduction. Good stuff. Really good stuff. I like VHS 2. I think it's a really, really well done sequel, and a sequel that, dare I say, is better than the original. I will come in at an 8 out of 10 for VHS Part 2. Really like this film. Ryan Snyder's in the house. What up, Grande? Trying to you as my daughter sleeps in the same room as me. Oh man, I might have to keep it down. But I warn you, Ryan. I warn you. I'm about to talk about VHS Viral. And I don't know if you've seen VHS Viral, but holy shit, I may be in a mood for some ranting because I put a lot of these over. I put quite a few of these segments over. But this next one, man, holy shit. VHS Viral, I can't put it over. Aliens, dog. I don't know. Something about it worked. It had a nice charm to it. And also, I think it being the shortest sort of helped it. Like, it didn't overstay its welcome. And there really wasn't that much you could do. This has to be a short. Like, there's not like a feature-length movie you could have done here. Like, there are some of these I would have liked to have seen as maybe a feature-length movie. Like, and as a matter of fact, they went on to make the first segment of the first movie, The Amateur Night. They made that into a feature-length film called Siren, where they got the same lead actress to come back, play that demon creature with the cleft head. And I really, the movie's kind of average, but the short really works. It's a scary ass short story. But there are a couple of these that, why not make a fucking feature length out of it? Why not go for something like that? I think maybe the Friday 13th ripoff from the first one, that could have benefited maybe more from being feature length and being a little bit less cliche. But I think for sure, it definitely could have benefited from it. The ending was heartbreaking. Yes, it was, man. I didn't want to talk about the ending, but it is one of the most heartbreaking final shots. But again, Jason Eisner, he gets true horror. That's a really, we've seen how many horrifying final shots, whether it be the Blair Witch Project with Josh standing in the corner, or movies like Wreck or Quarantine when the person's dragged away and the film fades to black. The final shot of the dog in this, it's really heartbreaking. It's a different type of upsetting horror, but it's really well done. I like the ending of that, and I thought it was funny too. And you'll be happy to know, I'm sure all animal lovers and dog lovers alike will be happy to know, the dog was top billed in this segment. He got the top billing. I really like that. I think that was so cool that they gave the dog the top billing. How many movies can you say that for? Really cool stuff. I've only seen the first VHS. Bro, see VHS 2. Watch VHS 2. I promise you, it is worth your time. It is very well done, and in my opinion, is a big step up from the first film. And I do like some of the stories in the first film, but VHS 2, man, it is worth your time. I believe it's on. Tom was saying it's on Shudder Canada. So I don't know if it's on Shudder in the States, but it's definitely worth a watch. I would even say buy it on Blu-ray. It's that good. If you enjoyed the alien abduction segment, man, check out the McPherson alien abduction movie. It came out before Blair Witch, but after Cannibal Holocaust. I have not heard of that. What year did it come out, kid, and who made it? I got to check that out. Safe Haven sounds good. One story from 1 and 2. I guess you have convinced me to watch them. Go for it, man. I hope you do. I think, at the end of the day, too, the thing I liked about these movies more so than not, before I rant on part 3, because there's really not much positive I have to say after part 2, because part 3 is like really bad. I think what a great concept. What a absolutely great concept. You up and comers, you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a lot of stuff to make a feature length film. Come in here and make a short. Come in here and be creative. And I like that. Give these new guys this creative palette. I think that's so cool. Like go for it. Why not? Why not give these up and comers a shot? And guys like David Bruckner, I think he's going to do great things. I really do. I'm excited to see where David Bruckner goes. I'm excited to see after Dark Side of the Ring ends, which I love that show, but I would like to see what Jason Eisner does next. These are guys I want to see more from. And as much as I won't lie, I've given Wingard shit. I've given Ty West shit. Look at Adam Wingard right now. He just made a fucking huge blockbuster movie in the Kong versus Godzilla. He's only going to get another big movie from there. I'm sure he'll get another big MonsterVerse movie. I'm sure he will. It's nice to see that some of these guys did make it. Like you do have a Glenn McQuaid for every guy that made it. I mean, a guy that didn't make it. But at the end of the day, I really think the concept of these movies were smart. I think it was such a good place to kind of go. And the first 2 movies are perfect prime examples of that. I'm buying it now. just on your recommendation. Please do. I'm glad you do. Please do. And also, I don't know if this is still out there, but there's an edition where it has the Blu-ray and the VHS tape. That's so fucking cool for a collector. I love the novelty of that. I didn't get in on it when it first came out, first release. I don't own any of these actually, but I highly recommend the movie for sure. It came out in 1989, but it honestly was so realistic. It toured around the UFO exposed, and the 90s retired Army officer claimed it was real. I bought a copy from the director. That's very cool, man. I have not even heard of that. And I know that they tried to make an Area 51 movie with the guy who did Paranormal Activity, which really failed. So I don't know. I'd like to see something found footage done right with aliens. And the Jason Eisner segment in this is one of those segments. I like it. But moving on. Oh man, moving on. This is so bad. I don't know where to start with this, because this, man, VHS Viral. Now, I could give a little bit of a pre-ground with this. I was so excited for this movie. I really thought the first film touched on something interesting. It scared me genuinely with some of its stories. Part 2, I thought, was an even better movie, a bigger step up, and creativity was shown and filmmakers shined, and I was gung-ho for VHS 3. And then they changed the title VHS Viral. I was like, okay, what VHS Viral, huh? Like, what is this going to be about? This is like one of the biggest falls from grace I've ever seen in any trilogy. Like, this makes movies like fucking Urban Legend 3 look good. This makes shit like I Will Always Know What You Did Last Summer look watchable. Like, that's how bad of a fucking third entry this is. This makes Candyman 3, which I actually like better than the second one, but it makes Candyman 3 look like Candyman 1. Like, this is one of the worst third entries in a trilogy I can think of. It's not Creepshow 3 bad, but it's close. It's actually fucking close. VHS Viral. Now, before I get into the stories and the segments, because I'm not a fan of those either, I've got to touch around this wraparound story. With the first two, it's simple. There's not much to it. It's break into a house, steal a tape, watch the tapes one after another. That's all it has to be. And Creepshow was the kid reading the comic book. That's all it has to be, is little fucking things like that. In the Tales from the Dark Side movie, it was fucking Deborah Harry and the kid talking. Let me read you another story. That's all the fucking wraparound has to be in a movie like this. This wraparound story is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. It's fucking horrible. To the point where I rewatched it Monday night for show prep, and I got so fucking angry that I looked up who the cinematographer was, and I was like, yo, this guy needs to fucking retire. I'm gonna call his ass out, because this guy, he needs to call it a fucking day. I'm going to find it. Hold on. Cinematography, Vicious Circles, done by Harris Charalambos. Harris, you need to fucking retire. Give up, drive your car off into the fucking sunset, and never be a fucking director of photography again, because you stink. And the editing in this fucking wraparound story was so horrendously shitty that I wanted to break my fucking 43-inch fucking 4K TV. That's how fucking angry I was. It's poorly fucking directed too. What's the fucking director's name of this? Vicious Circles. Marcel Sarmiento? Marcel, retire. You stink. You fucking stink. This is the shittiest wraparound story in the history of fucking wraparound stories. It's so bad. It's so fucking bad, man. It's basically this dumbass kid and his hot girlfriend, and they fucking witness that there's an ice cream truck being chased by cop cars on the news. And then he's like, let's fucking get on my bicycle and chase this fucking thing. Somehow he's staying neck and neck with it. His girlfriend disappears, and he gets the idea that she's been abducted by this fucking ice cream truck of terror. And then we go through the stories. What the fuck? What are you doing? A fucking ice cream truck on the run where this bitch just disappeared in thin air? And there's nobody driving this truck, and there's nobody who can catch up to this truck. Yet this kid is fucking on his bicycle. Now, holy shit. It was so fucking poorly done. And all the editing, and it's so chopped. It's so fucking poorly made. I despise this wraparound story. And I'll just get to finish it because I don't want to end it on this fucking just bashing this wraparound story. But I've got to just finish bashing it. You get to the finale of this fucking movie, and the ice cream truck of terror is stopped. This guy on his fucking bicycle caught up to it, fucking gets in the back of this truck, and there's all these tapes. Oh my God. And there's a button that says upload. And his girl is on a TV yelling at him, upload it, upload it, upload it. And there's banging going on. He's like, all right, I'll do it. He uploads all these fucking VHS tapes to the internet. And like, I guess the idea is, now all of these tapes that people watch and are horrified by, like us, the audience, will be affected by them. What in the fuck? He gets out of the thing. There's also scenes of these people going crazy from watching this stuff. And there's this random cookout scene where this guy's sitting there petting his dog. And then like, for some reason, somebody stabs the dog in the head with a fucking barbecue skewer. What the fuck? Like, what? Like, talk about the Jason Eisner segment and the good usage of a dog in a fucking horror anthology. This is how you use a dog horribly. You got these fucking idiots at his fucking cookout in the middle of 3 o'clock in the morning. Who the fuck has a cookout at 3 o'clock in the morning? And your fucking dog is sitting there and you fucking stab it in the head with a fucking skewer? Oh, well, Grande, he was crazy from watching VHS. Me too. I was crazy from watching VHS Viral. But not anybody with a fucking brain cell should stab a dog with a fucking skewer. What the fuck? Shove the skewer up your ass before you stab a dog. And then this fucking guy cleans house. He's like, you'll stab my dog, man. And fucking starts killing everybody. And all the violence, you would think, at least maybe they showed gore, right? No. All the fucking editing, it's all chopped out. There's no gore. You just see this fucking dog get stabbed, and then they fucking cut all of the people getting mutilated, and then they fucking cut the scene and on to the next story. Like, what? It was so bad. It's so bad. The cinematographer, retire. You stink. You don't have any talent. I have more talent in my pinky nail than you have in your entire cottage cheese stretch mark written body, Harris. Go fuck yourself. You too, Mr. Whatever the fuck, Marcel Sarmiento. Go get a fucking slice of pizza and go fucking retire because you fucking stink. And don't you ever fucking go anywhere near a dog, all right? Fuck you. That's it. I'm done with the wraparound segment. I'm sorry. It's so, oh my God, man. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, what happened? Just go through the stories normally. Like, what? You chasing an ice cream truck on a bicycle? What? Jesus. I woke up and realized you were live, and I was supposed to be a guest on Night's stream. Slipped so hard. Oh, rest in pepperonis. You were supposed to be a guest, and bro, I'm not even kidding you. It's on that level. It's slightly better. I would give it a better grade than Creepshow 3, but this is a bad film. And you're probably thinking, oh, maybe it's just the wraparound story that's bad. Maybe the segments are worth the shit. We're not even there yet, and it's fucking bad. I found VHS 2 with the Blu-ray, DVD, and VHS. Wow, that's so sick. Dude, I've got to get in on that, man. I've got to get in on that. I've got to pick that one up. I love that movie. Don't go near a dog. You keep your fucking barbecue skew away from the fucking dogs. You fucking idiots. Learn how to go to fucking film school, learn how to do it, and then don't ever do anything again. Like, don't try anymore. You fucking failed. The worst thing I've ever watched. Like, one of the worst things I've ever watched. A fucking piece of shit wraparound story. But, once again, we'll get into the segments, I suppose. The first segment, and this, I'm not making this up. These segments are all bad. Like, they're not one good fucking, oh my God. The first one, it is called Dante the Great, directed by Greg Bishop. And I was talking before about the amateur night segment from the first film that they made into a feature length with this demonic succubus thing. He's the guy that directed that feature-length film. Very average movie to me, but hey, he directed that. Now he's getting a shot at to make a VHS movie, a VHS segment. Let's see what the guy's got. You know, he's obviously a fan of the first film. This piece of shit story is about this fucking magician, and he's the greatest magician in the world. He's this universe's Chris Angel, and he can do all this fucking shit. And there's examples of his great magic where he's pulling people's wallets away from them while he's on the stage. And there's this fucking doofy couple they interview, and they're like, we were just in New York City, but we walked out of the show. We were in California. He transported us. Fuck you. What the heck are you talking about? He's so magical that he fucking miraculously moved these people from New York to California after they got out of seeing his show. For what reason? Like, what? Holy crap. He's this great magician, though. We'll go from there. He's this great magician. And his magic secrets come from his magical cape. And this cape is only magical for him because he feeds it to people. This is a demonic fucking cape that will only perform and do magic if you feed him people. So this guy, he's banging women and then throwing this cape on this bitch, and this bitch gets eaten. And that's like the horror of most of the story. And this guy just keeps feeding people. There's one bitch, she's in the shower, and he throws the cape on her, and she gets beaten alive. I don't understand. Number one, there's a lot of things about this I don't understand. The first thing I don't understand is, of all the stories where, you know, we use something creative with the cameras and we integrated it well, who was filming any of this? Was this guy using magic to fucking film himself murdering people? And like, he films his whole demise, and some of the footage is from the SWAT team that tries to take the guy out. Like, this is the one that, like, it should not have been found footage. This was not a story that played well into found footage. That's number one, you're breaking rules. Number two, your story fucking stink. Like, there's no, like, okay, if it was played up completely for laughs, maybe it would have worked. But it's kind of taking itself seriously. And a concept that goofy of a magical cape that devours humans, how can you take that seriously? You just can't. It's a joke. Like, I just don't, man, it's just fucking poor. It's a really bad idea. It's just such a piece of shit, man. I can't even tell you how maddening this story is. Like, if you just had fun with it, I think it would have worked. And because there's some stupid shit I like. There is some dumb shit I like. Whether it be Frankenhooker, whether it be fucking Basket Case, there are some dumb shit. Troll 2, there's some dumb shit I can get into and just like have fun with it. This is just not one of those things. A fucking evil, maniacal, blood-hungry cape. And it's fucking played as seriously as they could have played it. And like, they completely just don't do anything with the found footage, like, aspect, element, or concept. They just it's just shot straight up pretty much. And I thought it was so poorly done. I don't know. I really don't like this segment. Once again, not the worst idea in the world had you given this to the hands of a right filmmaker. Maybe Gareth Evans could have done something with this. This is the one, though, I will say, if there was any of these that I think needed to be longer and not shot on video, this should never been shot on video. If there, maybe a feature-length movie of this would have worked, where we could have seen maybe this guy's past career where he was down in his luck, and then he comes across this cape that was owned by the great Harry Houdini, and it starts to change his life. And I think it needed more of like, how did this change this guy's life? How did this make this guy go from zero to hero? And then maybe the torment of having to sacrifice people with the cape. And maybe, okay, if you want to go a little bit more serious, add a little heart in there. Add a little like, I don't like what I'm doing, but I need this to keep going. This guy, this lead character, he's completely remorseless. There's no sympathy to be had. And then there's this lady that's like trying to be his assistant, this hot redhead lady, and she's like, oh, well, I was just trying to work with him so he'd give me his secrets. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Fucking what a bitch. Like, you really want to learn math? You really think that this guy's going to teach you his fucking magic? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, this guy's using a fucking cape to get over. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I think if you're going to go serious, give it heart. Make our lead character conflicted. That's movies like Basket Case do that. The lead character's conflicted. It's funny, Basket Case 1 sort of does play it seriously. But again, it's executed correctly. That's the difference. I think with this is wrong tone, wrong feel, not the worst idea in the world, but again, it's just so poorly executed as a whole, and it did not work into the realm of VHS segments. For me, was not a fan of this segment. Kid said, dude, I'm fucking dying. Yeah, dude, no, that wraparound is the stupidest thing I've ever watched. They should have called the segment Cape Fear and made it a comedy. Yeah, make it a fucking parody. Like, that would have worked if you just made it over the top and, fun. There's just no fun to be had in this. It's just fucking stupid from beginning, middle to end. It never shifts gears to being like, all right, I'm like, Safe Haven does that, where I'm just like, okay, now there's a giant goat demon son running around, and oh my god, these kids all died drinking poison. Now they're all zombies and mass suicide. Like, there's a point where I was just like, holy shit, this is just so enjoyable. That never happens with this. This had a hard time changing gears, and I think feature length would have helped it, and making it just a straight up like shot as a real film would have helped this one. But that's Dante the Great. Not a fan. Next segment comes from Nacho Vigalondo, and his segment is called Parallel Monsters. Right off the bat, I thought this one was going to be the best. I really did. Like, when it started, I felt maybe there's some promise to this. This one tells the story of this fucking guy, and he creates this, like, machine to transport him into a parallel universe. Okay, cool. I'm with you. I'm fucking aboard. Where are we going with this? He meets himself from a parallel world. He looks the same. They even do the same. Like, they do the classic, like, oh, is it really me? Like all that shit. They agree, let's switch places for 15 minutes. Let's switch places and see what happens. Number one, if I fucking just discovered a new parallel, a new dimension, 15 minutes, bro, that's it? 15 minutes? Like, I would be like, yo, let me go tell somebody about this. Let me go and make some money off this. No, okay, I'm going to explore this parallel world for 15 minutes. We follow both of them. Now, the normal character, the lead character, we start to find out whatever, he goes to the parallel universe, and his wife, and along with two other men, want to have a fucking foursome. And he's just sitting there on the couch acting awkwardly. That's how he explores this parallel world. He wants to fuck the woman he's been fucking for however many years with not other women, but with two other guys. What the fuck kind of a foursome would you want to be with the same bitch and two other guys? Like, what? Goddamn, look outside. Explore this parallel universe. You want to fuck the same bitch and with men? Like, what? I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But what the fuck? Like, so she's sitting there on the couch with her legs, and they all have no fucking, they're all wearing shorts, and they're all fucking sitting there all seductive. There's this fucking bag of plastic blood in the middle around this fire, and this guy's just fucking sitting there like this, like just chilling out. Bro, what the fuck? I don't care if I go into a parallel dimension. I want to fuck some other bitch. Like, that would be my, like, if I'm going to, okay, hold on. Reverse it. Willy Wonka, reverse it. Goddamn, if I'm going to a parallel world, number one, I ain't fucking the same bitch. Number two, I ain't fucking the same bitch with two men. Number three, I wouldn't be trying to get my dick wet in another parallel dimension. I'm trying to see what's going on in this other world. Like, what's the differences? What are the similarities? What's going on? Like, there's so much they could have done. And instead, this guy's just sitting on the fucking couch for 10 of the 15 minutes that he's in this other world. And, like, they're all like, oh, so do you want to start, honey? I'm just sitting there. I'm like, yo, there's fucking men asking you this. What the fuck is wrong with you, dude? I would have been like, you guys can start. I'm going to go outside and see what's going on. That's what I would have said. I would have just been like, dude, this is fucking strange. That's just me. I don't know. So that's going on. Then the fucking guy from the parallel world goes to our world, and he goes up to the wife's bedroom, and he's trying to get his dick sucked. I don't know. When you switch parallel universes, you want to get your dick sucked. That's apparently a thing. I personally, that would be one of the few times I'd be trying to get fucking laid. I'd try to be like, yo, check this out, and let's play with the universe and the elements and all these things. What can we do with this? This guy's trying to get his dick wet. It's the guy from the fucking our world that goes to their world. He eventually goes, all right, this is a little too weird for me. She tells the two guys to go home. She's like, what, am I not enough for you anymore? So, you bullshit marital problems, I guess, with fucking foursomes, which makes no sense, but whatever. He does finally go outside after fucking eternity sitting on the couch. He goes outside and he sees this blimp with an upside down cross. And then he sees these two guys, their faces are glowing. And then they fucking pin him to a tree. And you find out that people in this dimension look exactly the same from us. The only difference is they have fucking mutant penises and mutant vajayjays. That's the fucking big twist of this parallel universe. This guy has like a fucking Mr. Sacco hand puppet as a fucking dick. And he whips it out. I don't know what he wanted the guy to do. Do you want the guy to suck you off? So the guy stabs him in the penis. The guy makes a run for it. He runs into the house. Then we see what's going on in the real world. This guy with the mutant PP, he's trying to fucking get with this guy's actual wife. And I'm sitting there like, dude, what in the bluest of blue fucks is going on? Like, it's so fucking poorly done, man. And then he runs back to the thing. Both guys are trying to switch places. Of course, they both switch, and the wives, thinking one guy's the other, vice versa, they both get killed by their fucking wives. One by a fucking stab to the heart, the other one by a giant fucking Venus flytrap vagina. And that's your fucking segment. What in the hell were they thinking? Like, again, part of me thinks if you played this straight up serious, it might have worked. Or if you played a straight up comedy, it would have worked. But it's like, it's just played up straight up awkward. There's no tension in this one. You're just sort of sitting there waiting for something to happen, and you're kind of questioning yourself, going, what the hell? Like, why don't they do something more with a concept like this? And I don't get why they didn't. I really don't. I like if you're going to do parallel world, give me more than 15 minutes in the parallel world. Do something like They Live, where, holy shit, the billboards are different, and this world, this goes, and in our world, that, like, they decided to go like more of a sex route with it, and I don't know, I just didn't think it was very well done. I didn't like the execution. I didn't like the pacing. I just thought this was kind of stupid. It was, and that's the thing with VHS Viral. It's stupid. It's not an intelligent fucking film. It's a very stupid film. And, I guess maybe there are some people out there that could have fun with this. I'm just not one of them. I don't know. This gets like almost universally bad reviews. So maybe, just maybe, I am not in the minority on this one. People just hate this too. But I don't know, man. I'm not a fan of any of these. Or dude, yeah, I don't know, man. I have no idea like who would want to do that. And he doesn't even do anything. This normal set called a twosome, dude. I don't know. Like, I've seen the mutant vajayjay and mutant penis story done way better than this too. Like, that's not like anything we haven't seen. Like, okay, I know everybody wants to mention teeth, but I mentioned a film called fucking Bad Biology. Bad Biology, another Frank Henenlotter joint. That's a good, mutant PP versus mutant vajayjay. Like, that's done better to me than anything that was done in this. Like, this is just like, it's so poorly done, man. I don't know. I guess maybe the story sounds better telling it than it is when you watch it. Like, because I just watched it, I was just like, really? Really? Like, Jesus, man. I don't know. It's just really fucking poorly done. Sounds like my kind of movie. Dude, I don't know, man. I could recommend some bad. I swear to you, this is fucking. Oh, I wouldn't recommend this to anybody. I gotta go, bro. Have a good night, dude. Have a good night, man. Rock on. Be good, my friend. Have a happy 4th if I don't talk to you. JK, this movie is a pile of fucking shit covering in a piss lasagna. Yeah, this is like shit dipped in shit with like sprinkled with corn turds. Like, this is This is a fucking bad film. I don't know how else to say it. Damn, that story is hilarious. Yeah, it's fucking. I don't know, man. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what my man Nacho was smoking. I don't know. I just think this was wild. Again, maybe this could have worked if you had the right tone. Maybe it would have been like funny, like, oh shit, you know. It's not. It's just not. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, if you watch Safe Haven and enjoy that for what it is, and then turn around and watch this, I feel like you could totally see why one works as opposed to the other. That's just me, though. That was how I felt. I don't know. This just wasn't really well executed. And then the final story is Bone Storm. But before we get to that, there is another story that was cut out of this film, directed by Todd Lincoln, called Gorgeous Vortex. It was one of, if not the last things he's ever worked on. Why they cut his story, number one, I don't know. Number two, if they kept these three stories and cut his story, I can't fucking fathom how bad his story must have been. Like, that's insane. Or this part of me thinks maybe his story was good and they were just like, oh, fuck it. You know, that's the only good one in here. We might as well just stick with being all bad. I don't know. I've not seen Gorgeous Vortex. I can't say anything about it. Apparently, if you buy the Blu-ray, you can watch it after the credits. Why they cut it out of the movie, though, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense as to why it's not in the movie. There's no fucking way it's possibly worse than Parallel Monsters or Dante the Great. I mean, at least I don't think so. And if it was as bad, it fits perfectly in to me. But that is Parallel Monsters. That is Gorgeous Vortex. On to the last segment. This is the last segment of the bunch, and this one's directed by Justin Benson. It is Bone Storm. Now, Justin Benson has made a film I really like. It's called Spring from 2014. It is a very well done, like, romantic horror film. Really good stuff. I don't want to give too much away. I just highly recommend anybody who has not seen the movie Spring from 2014. It's a very well done horror film. I really like the movie. I think it has a lot of things to say, a lot of heart to it, a lot of emotional weight, and I think it's really, really well executed personally. I like the film Spring. So I was thinking, wow, who knows? Maybe this will be a good segment. This is, these group of skateboarders, they're like in Tijuana trying to get skateboarding footage or whatever, right? Then they come across these weird, like, cult people, monster people. I don't know exactly what they're supposed to be. It's never really fully fucking explained. And they just start getting attacked by them and fight them to the death. And it is literally like 10 minutes of them fighting these things, these creatures to the death in a skateboard park thing. And then it just ends. Like, there's nothing else to this. There's no character development. There's no, like the one guy, the director, he's trying to get them to wipe out. He's like, oh, there's no car coming. There's no car coming. There's a car coming. So he's trying to get them to get hit by a fucking car. Like, what the fuck? Like, what? It's just very strange. Like, I don't really understand this segment at all. It has no place in this movie. It's just weird. It's almost like he wanted to make just this kick-ass action movie. But man, I don't know. I just mind blown by this last segment. I just thought it was so fucking weird and it's just like not memorable at all. There's a point where they kill them all and then they all like resurrect themselves and then they just sort of run away. A lot of the camera point of view, it's done through the camera of like the skateboarding camera. Like there's a side camera, you can see a character's face and they cut back and forth between the guy that's the director of them and then the two skateboarders. Very poorly done. Very poorly done. A very weak final segment. And I gotta say, it's such a shame to end what the first two movies set up on a note like this. And then you have that shitty rapper, the worst wraparound story of all time. And that's it. You know, you fade to black. This is a where the first movie was 2 hours. Second movie is an hour 35. This movie without credits is like less than 80 minutes. It's such a short movie. It's like, bang, bang, boom, we're done. And good riddance. I mean, this is just a piece of shit movie. They also, it's weird too with all three of these movies. First one has 5 stories. The second one has 4. This one has 3. So each movie has one less story than the last and cut more time off. But this is an instance where I thought they really shouldn't have cut time off. This is like, they really should have just went back to the drawing boards, or maybe, I don't know if it was fully the directors they picked or it's just the stories. I don't know exactly what went completely wrong, but this just feels completely removed from what everything the first two movies did correctly to me. That being said, VHS Viral, man, if I had to rate this 1 out of 10, can I give it the Creepshow 3 grade? I can't. It's a slightly better than Creepshow. I'm going to come in with a solid, mind you, 1.5 out of 10. This is a fucking train wreck of a movie. This is absolutely the bastard stepson who's fucking ugly and he needs hair plugs. And that is this movie. That is VHS Viral. It completely just ruined the concept. Now, part of me, I would like to see this VHS 94 prequel where we go back to what made the first two work. We're getting new up-and-coming filmmakers and having them use their creative juices and use this palette as a surface to be creative on and show off their arts and what they want to talk about with the genre. I really hope they get back to that. This film, VHS Viral, it's just a dumb film. It really is. There's no better way to put it. This is a dumb movie that didn't really try. It just really poked too much fun. And it even the fun it pokes isn't funny. It's not humorous. It's just, you shake your head, you fucking hit yourself in the head. It's just such a waste of time, man. VHS Viral is one of the biggest letdowns in the history of any trilogy to me. It's just such a bad way to end good movies. So I hope the VHS 94 happens. I hope they pick some good filmmakers, and I hope that they can go on to do bigger and better things. And I really hope, like I'll be honest, Justin Benson, he's gone on to do much better things, like way better than this movie. So he's thankfully, whatever Bone Storm was, hopefully that was just a hiccup and he can move on. And I'm hoping he does. But like, it's nice to see that a lot of these guys, I mean, I can go through the entire list, like the Radio Silence guys, they just did that new Scream movie, and they did Ready or Not, which was a big hit. Do I want to see them doing Scream movies? Not really, but Ready or Not was a big hit, and that's all that matters. Financially, critically, all that stuff, it was a big hit. Ty West, he hasn't really tried in a long time. Adam Wingard, he's directing Godzilla and Kong. Jason Eisner, he is one of the best TV shows in the air right now. Gareth Evans, an amazing filmmaker. He's still making good stuff. Guys like, who else have we got here? There was one more guy I really wanted to mention. Timo Tahajanto. Again, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. I'd like to see him make more stuff. Like all these, there's a few of them that I really want to see keep working. And it's nice that they kind of got to get a start or a push or whatever doing this stuff. And I think that's the main thing why I like these movies overall, is the kind of launch pad, the start and the push that these guys get to do with their careers. I think it's really, really nice to see. There were some comments I missed. Let's see. Sounds like a bad Ricky Morty episode. Yeah, for sure. We talking VHS Viral now. How to get tacos. Ooh, yeah. What kind of tacos did you get, good brother? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fuck this movie, man. This is a bad one. This is one I wouldn't recommend to my worst enemy. This is just a piece of shit. I'd still like to try to do a massive VHS fan film project with film/horror YouTubers. I mean, hell, fans could do better than Viral. Yeah, we could do better than Viral. I think the whole idea of the 94 is they're all going to be like shot on a camcorder to give it that 90s feel. And I'm all for that. I think that's cool. But again, I don't mind being creative. I don't mind putting the camera on a dog or putting the camera as a GoPro or putting the camera in between your glasses. Like, I don't mind the new stuff they did with the camera techniques. I like it, most of it, actually. I just think like the stories of the other ones were just completely just blasphemy, man. I guess copyrights would be a problem, but if it was non-profit just for entertainment, I could be posted. Yeah, no, I'm sure that you could do a fan film, just call it something else. Like, don't call it VHS. But I'm sure. I know. I think Evil Stevel did a thing where he had YouTubers send in their own movies and stuff, and he presented it as this one big anthology. That's something you could totally do. You just couldn't really call it VHS, I guess. That would be where you find the issue. But I think it will happen. I think VHS 94 or VHS 4, it will happen. I'm hoping that this time they get a little bit better filmmakers and probably take it a little bit more seriously than they did VHS Viral. Bone Storm would have been a better name for the foursome story. Yeah, why not? That absolutely agree with that. Fucking Mutant Bone Storm. That could have been a perfect name for it. Mutant Vajayjay. Mutant Clit. I don't know. Maybe that would have been better. I have no idea. It was oh man, that other story is pretty bad. Yes, sir. Scarlet Cinema. Yes, that's it. That's what it's called. I forgot what it was called, but yeah, I think he did 2 volumes of that. I don't think he's doing it anymore. But I still think that was a really cool idea. And again, it's just nice to see people being creative and doing what they love to do. And whether it be, amateur filmmakers, whether it be people trying to break into the business, whether it be lifelong horror fans like a guy like Jason Eisner, I think it's nice. And to pay tribute to the past, like guys like Eduardo Sanchez. That's what I think personally. Happening again in August. Anybody want to submit something? Hit up Evil Stevel on IG. He's a really nice guy. I follow Evil Stevel. He's really, really cool people. I'll have to check it out. Yeah, Gideon, you would love it. You would absolutely love it. And I'm sure if you wanted to make something for it, he definitely would be. He's a very, very nice guy. Very cool dude. I always love like huge collabs. Yeah, no, same here. I think it's really nice to see. And speaking of collabs, I guess this will be the last time I plug it because I'm going to wrap the show here. Corey and I, our summertime slashing series, it drops tomorrow. I'm super excited about that. 6 p.m. Eastern time. Check out King Migor's channel. We're going to be talking all things Body Count from 1986, Little Ruggiero Diodato slasher cinema. So I'm excited about that. It's going to be really awesome. Corey, I don't know if you want to do the private screening as soon as I end the broadcast. I could just invite you on here, or I don't know how we can view it together. I guess I could just send you an invite on here and we'll watch it off the air. I guess that will work. Plugging in the phone. Okay, that's cool. But yeah, so that drops tomorrow. Please check that out. Also, HorrorTuber winner of the month. That is probably going to drop Saturday. I'll record it tomorrow. I'll just schedule as a premiere for Saturday. That's my plan right now. I'll announce the winner, and then they can have the tough task of picking their 4 nominees for the HorrorTuber month of July. So that's really, really cool. So thank you all for watching tonight. This was a really, really fun episode. Of course, putting over some of these and, of course, burying the legendarily bad VHS Viral. It was a lot of fun as always. But thank you all so much for watching. I had a great, great time. We will catch you next week. Hopefully have the Elm Street Warrior on for a show. And I'll be hitting him up very shortly to make sure that he's definitely down. And we plan on doing Stuart Gordon movies. So I'm hoping that all works out. But until next time, I am the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names, kicking candy ass. Live in the car with you on Grande's Graveyard. Too sweet. Peace. We'll catch you next time.